But let me see. Thank God it's Friday! Well, don't blame me. That's the best I can do. How are you doing today? How's your mind? How's your body? And how is your soul? What's happening around you? What's popping? It's Friday. It's the beginning of the weekend for people who get to enjoy their weekends. For some of us, well, nothing special. We're just going to get over and done with work today and show up again at work over the weekend. How about that? Now, I'm going to be here on Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. And it's because the sports gang reached out to me this morning and begged me that they have to do Euro coverage, so I have to come in earlier than planned. So you see, there's no weekend for me, but you get to enjoy your weekend. So congratulations to you. So it's yo, how's your man, how's your body, how's your soul from Clinton, Mr. Fresh in Port Harcourt. Clinton, I'm good. So we're going to have a conversation this hour centered around property maintenance in Nigeria. And in course of the conversation, I probably would share some personal experiences, having, lived and rented apartments for years. Some experiences are shared experiences. You can totally relate, and you can also share your experience as well. But it comes down to the landlords or the property owners. How often do they maintain the property that people occupy? And when you see a dilapidated building, do you consider it the landlord's fault or the tenants not valuing their lives to ask for the right thing to be done, or possibly move out if the landlord is unwilling to do the needful? I'll share all of that with you after the commercial break. Now join the conversation on X at Nigeria Info PH, and Facebook page remains Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Some of your comments on our pre-sale. I must say I am in for a lot as it concerns this conversation. Now, let's begin with this. What is property maintenance? It is basically the process of ensuring buildings and their immediate environment are in optimum condition. So it goes beyond just building, having a structure, a physical structure, to ensuring that everything about the building is still in shape, top notch. It includes maintenance activities such as safety checks, cleaning, rodent control, garbage disposal, gardening, landscaping, and asset repairs. Whether it's a residential property or a commercial property where people living, where people do business, you would Sorry about that. That was totally unexpected. So as I was saying, whether it's a residential apartment or a commercial building, still the same thing. Now, in a residential building, it is expected that the tenants, the people who live there, will do their best to clean within the house, the household. Ensure that they do the normal cleaning, mopping, taking away cobwebs and all of that. You're not expecting your landlord to come and do that for you, right? However, there are sometimes cases of structural defects, all right? Sometimes a leaking roof, a fallen roof, a blown away zinc, a crack on the wall, building looking old. And you know, some of these apartments come with their do's and don'ts. So if the landlord has chosen orange as the color of the outside building, inside the building you may want to paint it whatever color you desire, but you see that outside orange is orange. If you don't like it, go and look for another building, but don't change the color. So the landlord will now have to choose when he will come and repaint. And you discover that some landlords do not get to do that in forever. And now it makes the entire building look funny. Yeah, visitors may come into your house and see that your own house is neat, your inside is painted, the interior is good. But when they look at the outside, they cannot rate you in a certain light because the outside doesn't look appealing. Now, a Nigerian man, Tochukwu Ogbago, has shared photos of a dilapidated building, 3-story building, fully occupied by tenants. Ogbago, who posted the photos on Facebook, said the building is located in Aba, Abia State. You can't believe that this 3-story building is fully filled with tenants from downstairs to the last floor. Somewhere in Aba around Ukadike Street inside Agulana Axis. I just want to update you guys. This life, no just balance. Some landlords need to be invited just to know the color of their problem. When I saw images of the said building, you know, within myself, I already knew that I cannot live in that kind of place. I see the roofs are falling. I see some of the windows are falling apart. I see that the building may not have been painted in 30 years. I see a lot of things. I see the pipes leaking, so much so that, you know, you have Spirodira and all the other algae and all of that. And people live there. Now, in the comment section, there are people who would usually argue, yeah, I see that the louvers, almost all of them are out. People will argue, it's not the landlord's fault. Maybe people who inhabit these buildings have not paid rent in forever. So which money would the landlord now come and use to do renovation or maintenance? This building seems like a death trap. And I wouldn't be surprised if in no distant time I hear of a building collapse. I'm just saying, right? And even if it were true that the tenants have refused to pay rent all this while, the more reason why the landlord is refusing to do anything about the building, you would think that the landlord should evict this tenant, work on his building, and have tenants who at least have sense live there. Now, I see a lot of things wrong with this building, merely looking at it as a spectator. I see that the rails on the balcony, the brick rails, some of them are out. And I can see the thin rod that was holding the fancy bricks together. Now, I'm guessing there are children living in this compound. Children who can be tempted to go through the balcony. Any little slip, chances are they can fall through some of these broken, what's it called now? Bricks. A lot of things wrong, I'm just saying. But is it the first time I'm seeing such terrible buildings? The answer is no. I grew up in town area. And there are some houses I saw in town growing up. Yes, they were old houses. Houses that were probably built long before I was born. People lived there. In fact, I used to have a friend who lived there, and I would go visit. And I would be scared for my life that I don't slip and fall off the stairs. Because you see, the staircase did not have the 2 handrails. You know, the handrails that people were supposed to hold on to. So when you were climbing, you had to climb carefully. But guess what? people still collected rent from these tenants. Now, flashback to social media. We've had some people go to certain areas to visit people living in really poor conditions. Yes, they go with their cameras and all. They ask these people questions. They ask them how much they pay at rent. The amounts usually are outrageous when you look at the building itself. But they live there. They live in houses where they literally have to swim to the bathroom, swim to their houses. Their belongings are up while the floor is all water, and that is where they live. And they pay rent. Somebody collects those rents, but doesn't bother to maintain these said properties. Why do they continue to live there, if you ask them? Well, that is what they can afford. Yes, it's what they can afford, but at least there's something that should pass for basic accommodation. Nothing too fancy, but at least nothing too dangerous and harmful to the health of the occupants. Rodents, leaking roof, reptiles, a lot of things. Shaking floor, cracked walls. Think of many things that could go wrong in a building, or we say building, or a living environment. Okay, what about places people rent for their shops? Well, that one, I don't think a lot of people pay heed to that, because is it not just where they will go and do their business and leave much later? In the evening, they go back to their places of rest. So they cannot be bothered as long as customer will come and buy. But someone is collecting rent. Someone who doesn't bother to maintain those properties. So I'm asking, where you currently live, where you currently do business, that place that someone is collecting rent from you, maybe monthly, quarterly, biannually, or yearly, how often does your landlord maintain the property you currently occupy? How long have you lived there? How long have you occupied that shop? Do they come periodically to check? I know some buildings, before you get in there, they collect caution fee. Caution fee is if you spoil something, when you want to leave, we use that one and replace it. If you not spoil anything, we refund you. I don't think anybody has really gotten a refund ever. All right. Do they come on their own and ask, is anything wrong with your house? Are your bulbs working? Your tap water, is it flowing? Your roof, is it okay? It's raining season now. Are your walls, is there a crack on your wall? Is there anything we can do to make your living condition in this our apartment better? Or do you only get to hear from them when it's close to when it's time to pay rent? Question number 2. When you see a dilapidated building, do you consider it the landlord's fault? The landlord is a wicked man. The landlord doesn't want to come and do any repairs. This landlord is very greedy. Every year he will come and tell us rent increment. Rent increment on top house that he has not added once meant. Rent increment on top house that we have been telling him that, we don't have water. Oh. We don't have water. We used to go to the next compound to fetch water. Oh. Hey, this one, rent increment for where we don't have electricity. We have not had electricity for the past 10 years. Landlord does not care. Or is it the fault of the tenants? They do not value themselves enough to demand and go about it in whatever way that is legally possible to ensure that they get the best when it comes to their occupancy of such properties. 0817 923 0002. Again, 0817 923 0002. We also have 0817 923 0003. Once again, 0817 923 0003. Send us a message on WhatsApp and Telegram. WhatsApp and Telegram number is 0809 030 6416. Once again, 0809 03 is live. But most importantly, be a part of the conversation. And Facebook page remains Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Now, in course of the conversation, I will read some of your messages from the pre-sale as well as the messages that we have from those of you watching live. Let's see. Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info, good afternoon to you and welcome. Something is not right with my phone lines. Okay, so let's move over to messages now. Boy Kante Odoka says, don't make me laugh. Now they maintain their house. Larry Torofari says, good morning. Once you pay your rent, the rest is up to you. Kent Macaulay says, na super story, episode 2, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Talk to me.
Yes, my name is Comrade Ikebe Igorike.
You're welcome.
Yes, I want to comment on the dilapidated building issue. You know, some landlords are they feel less concerned about how dilapidated their building is and the safety of the occupants. And at the end of the month, they just come, take their rent, and you don't see them again until after the rent, expiration of that rent rather. So, government should come into and look into this issue so that most buildings that are dilapidated, they should bring it down. Or tell the landlord to maintain them. Not at the end of the month, they come to pick, to take their rent at the expense of the occupants. It is very, very bad and so unacceptable to me. They should maintain their building for the safety of their tenants and at the same time prolonging the lifespan of their building. You know, when the building is dilapidated, the only thing that can extend its life is maintenance. So if probably they fail to maintain the building and it continues dilapidating, the high risk of that building collapsing is there. And the life of the occupants is also at stake. So they should look into it and try as much as they can to correct those abnormalities in them. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you too. Nigeria Info, good afternoon to you and welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Mr. Zion.
Mr. Zion, you're welcome.
There are factors that subjected those properties to that condition. Some are under litigation. Some of those buildings are inherited. And based on that inheritance, the original owner kept a structure that those that inherited it cannot maintain it. No matter how much as house rent they pay, when a father failed not to train his children to be like him, they will end up giving us products that will become headache to the society. Most fathers are pure. And the properties they left behind are bigger than their children. Now, the greed among children, they don't maintain this property. Rather, they subject it to tenants. And let us be honest. This thing they say, oh, I'm building house and it's an investment. I don't see that thing as an investment. If you are not having these houses close to 20, 30, because one house rent, how much is it? Just opposed to the commodities being sold in the market. That house rent, they pay you 100,000. Can you eat that 100,000 for the whole year? Per second. So you find out that it's like subjecting the house into more headache, into heat. And now because of greed, for the landlord to tell the tenant, maintain this building, because of that, our house rent no go high, we go reduce them, the landlords no go agree. have an issue, litigation, somehow that they cannot do anything there. Are like living for free. So it doesn't concern anybody. And some are inherited that they don't even know who owns the building, like those ones in town. The Bennett Car, Port Johnson, and the rest. Most of those buildings, we don't know the landlords. People have been living there for the past 30 years. They don't pay rent. They cannot maintain it. In the name of any day, government can come say, move it back. So I'm telling you the truth. We grew up in town.
Well, I have a personal. My friend used to live somewhere around the Beljumbo. I know this because I used to visit back then. Guess what? Landlord will tell you that use the next rent you want to pay me, collect small money inside, fix whatever we need to fix, send me the balance. Or you complain several times and the landlord will say, do it yourself, I will refund. They never refund. And by the time you put the house together nicely, before you know it, you get eviction. Because you've put the house nicely and the landlord wants to put another tenant there that is going to pay way higher than how much you were paying before. So you see, you helped him renovate the house and he is getting value for it. And you see, how man go do now? I want the place I'm living to be very comfortable and all of that. Yeah. Chris from Artillery, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how you doing?
This is a very interesting topic that most at times the Nigerians from tenants don't know their rights because of what is going on, and they are collaborating with the government to deal with the tenants allegedly. When you go to a court or you go to a lawyer will ask you if what they are playing in your company, you are not comfortable. In fact, now, how can you rent an apartment if not you are building? We are just ordinary tenants. Landlady or landlord will abandon the whole building for you. Tell you that as long as you are living there, anything that happens in that is your own business. The only time you see the landlord or the landlady is when they ask them a price for you to do or money. Once you pay that money, you won't see him. Anything happening in the compound, though, it's not his business, it's not her business. You don't really understand. Most of us will still have house somewhere. But it's not like that. How can they be doing this kind of thing? And you did something, you complain to them, will tell you, lawyer will tell you, if you're not comfortable, you pack up. You must to renew the house, to renovate it. After 1 or 2 minutes, they increase it. You will make most of the houses, most of the buildings you see some tenants, not that they don't have the text to do it. They have the money to do it. But once you renovate that house, the next thing you see that landlord will come and ask you to have the money, or you pack out. Or you tell you that my children want to make use of that place. This and that. Is the house to do something? That's why you see most people don't want to touch anything. They just leave it like that. If the glass broke, they leave it like that. But the landlord will not tell you this is the reason.
Okay. Charles from Mercyland. Welcome, Charles. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Charles. How are you doing
today? This issue, it can never be resolved in the tenant and the landlord. Okay. I tell you the gospel truth. To have a face look, you think to do this. Any landlord that says to go by these rules, they go after the landlord. So, tenant rent taking, collect the rent by themselves, and do all these things. Because any tenant that go ahead to renovate or do any building, you see the landlord will come up with some funny characters and begin to want to manipulate and all the rest. So the best people that can handle this sort of thing is either the Minister of Housing and Survey or the local government to more than tenant the land.
All right. Thank you, Charles. Sorry for you have to call it. Please, let's not go there. Cliff Austin Rodriguez says, although the property more costly it will be, we don't have maintenance culture. Philip Young says, landlord can only increase rent. My door has been bad for almost a year now. I don't complain, tire. No maintenance culture. Philip, send that in. Okay, let's go to watching. King Patrick says, send the WhatsApp number again. WhatsApp number is 90941. On Facebook says no maintenance, it's just management. Everything in money. From Oguna Bali. Welcome. I will talk first.
How this could if the tire. So we and the including the country. Thank you.
You have to stop now with the Lords. If you don't like my dilapidated building, pack and go to non-dilapidated one. Dilapidated one. Nah, small house rent I'm using to manage myself. You want me to come and polish your apartment? Escobar, send that in. Really? Escobar? Till someone falls from 3rd floor to 2nd floor because the what's it called now? There's that thing they do after foundation. The decking. Is it decking? Yeah. The decking, it don't break, it don't crack. So the child gets injured because a stone broke apart from. That's when you know that you're supposed to do certain things to put your house in order. I mean, why are we? It's not funny. Some of the building collapse. Building is bad. Landlord collects rent. Nobody wants to do anything about it. Yes, I agree with Zion that some properties are in dispute. I agree that some people that they passed on the inheritance to have decided to uninherit themselves from the properties. All right. Yes, I understand that some of these properties, the people that own them are living in disunity and disharmony and this everything. However, these people paid rent for a reason. You don't feel like you owe it to them to do basic things for them? Even if you're supposed to pay for it, even if you're supposed to split whatever the amount is. I mean, make I ask this question. Shame that they catch you say you be landlord. When they do the property where you be landlord, they say, if that this property where you get, you call yourself landlord, I better shift to one side. Have you not seen other landlords with far more beautiful looking buildings? FA from back of NTA. All right, Deborah from Rumudara, welcome. Talk to me.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Deborah.
Okay. All right. This is the lady from yesterday that I have not sent details. Okay. Referring to what you're talking about, sometimes some of these things, I see from my own observation, some of the landlords, especially when it comes to all these old men, I notice they hardly renovate or take care of their buildings. But when you see probably some of their sons that took over them, you will notice, because I don't know whether it's the young blood thing, they will always want to make the place, look good. And once they do that, they increase the rent immediately. I could cite that where my parents stay in Enugu, when the main owners of the building died, the particular son that took over the building, what he did was, the flats that were empty, because that's an old model building. So the flats that were empty that people passed at, what he did is he renovated that place so nice. So when you look at the house and the rest of the house, it looks so different, But the people that are parking, they pay more. But he used his own money to make the place look so nice.
Wow.
So what he has been doing, each of the flats, he renovates them one by one by one. So most times, buildings that are like that are those ones owned by the old people that, they don't see any need for the new renovation.
All right, thank you, Deborah. Efe, okay, lost Efe's call again. Good afternoon, Denise. This one is from Benson Nsikanu X. Never. All they do is increase rent like inflation in Nigeria. Like my landlord who has increased his rent twice in less than 9 months. I pray God bless our hustle so we can build our own house. This message says, okay, where was I? This one is from Facebook. Sorry, WhatsApp. Landlords should fix their houses a bit, like the one I used to live in. The shower handle used to shock. Before that thing stopped. Some landlords don't just care. This one says, to me, I think we need a free access to the law court without spending money, where there's a judge standby to listen to cases like unpaid debt, land and tenant disagreement cases, etc., without too much stress. It will stop a lot of nonsense. Chia Gozier says, did I agree to you? This popular cliche, I have test, is the problem. As a tenant, you desire more, and it is better you spend more to get what you want.